Why would anyone leave everything familiar to them? Why set out in blind faith into the unknown? They were optimistic, yet acutely aware of the dangers that could lie ahead. Loneliness and unfamiliarity were guaranteed. In 1620, a group of 102 passengers, later known as the Pilgrims, set sail from England aboard the Mayflower. Their destination was the Hudson Bay area, where they hoped to establish a colony. The voyage was brutal. 66 days of frequent storms battered the ship as they crossed the Atlantic, being blown off course and landing far north of their intended destination. Yet until spring arrived, they would endure a long, bleak winter aboard the ship, where brutal conditions claimed the lives of nearly half their number. How terrible were the conditions that they were fleeing from? What made them believe that a new world could be better? Was living under a king's fierce control so unbearable that anything seemed preferable? Or were they so convinced in their beliefs of the sovereign protection that would be with them? Grace and fortune, recorded in history, provide proof that their arrival in what is now Cape Cod was not mere chance. Despite the harsh conditions and the uncertainty of their future, the Pilgrims are resolute in their mission. Before disembarking, they drafted the Mayflower Compact, a covenant outlining how they would govern themselves in this new land. This document would later become a cornerstone for self-governance in America. Only after completing this covenant did they venture into the new land that was to become their home. As warm winds began to blow again and the sun provided much needed warmth, the Pilgrims started rebuilding their lives. They moved into the wooded lands to complete the shelters they had begun during the winter and to learn how to tend the land for a harvest. Here, the hand of God appears unmistakably. Only He could have arranged the strange events that brought Squanto, a native of the land, into their lives. Squanto had been taken as a slave to England, where he had learned the language and eventually escaped returning to his homeland. But upon his return, he found that all his people had been wiped out by a plague. Squanto was essential in helping the Pilgrims acquire the skills and knowledge they needed to survive. Without his friendship and guidance, the Pilgrims might have all perished, or perhaps they would have returned to England when the Mayflower set sail. From this group of resolute believers, the small colony began to grow and gave foundation of a people to know the freedom of individuals across the land. The founders of our country took the convictions of these settlers and used them to pen the greatest document of governance ever written. May we each pray with repentance in our hearts that this sacrifice not be forgotten and that the liberties established continue for generations to come.